Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Aquaponics World. So I've changed out the water to done my weekly water change out for my aquaponics plant as well as for my glowfish. As you can see, this is in one day, that pile of food there, but still got clear water in there for the first day here. If you watched my earlier video, you saw that it takes about a week, and this setup here that I have with this type of pump takes about a week, and this is so yellow and nasty that you can't even see the fish. But anyways, the long overdue. Got to do this tank now. This one obviously is a lot better after a week. It's got this type of pump down here. Definitely suggest picking one of these up. But I'm going to start cleaning this and I'll get back to you on the next video. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to take this 5-gallon tote here. These are really nice to have when you're cleaning out your fish tank. With this type of pump, it makes it a lot easier to clean your fish tank. It sucks the water out of the tank. It puts the water back into the tank for you through these, it's got an outlet, an inlet. You do got to maintain those to make sure that they don't get too funky. If they get plugged up, then they won't suck the water in. If your filter in there gets too plugged up, it won't work. So just keep an eye on that, maintain it. Those are monthly cleanouts and things like that you have to do. But today I'm doing the weekly cleaning of the water, which is just taking out about a quarter of the water and putting about a quarter of the water back in, removing any food from the bottom and cleaning the sides. So that's what I'm going to be doing right now. Talk to you on the next video. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to be doing with the big fish tank here is I'm just going to set this over here, and I'm going to take a gallon jug of water out of here so that I have something to clean my net off with. And I'm going to put that into the 5-gallon tote, and then I'm going to take my net and I am going to use my net to scoop up the old food off the bottom and any debris like that. And I will use the dechlorinated water, the old water, dirty water from the fish tank, to just rinse off the net as I go. And so I will show you more on the next video. Alright, so I'm going to take this net and I am going to try my best to try to scoop up some of this food here. Usually I use the vacuum, but I just wanted to try and see how well just using a net would do, because the vacuum's kind of an ordeal. But you can see that kind of got a good chunk of it out of there. And the goal of this is just to, on a weekly basis, kind of maintain the funk in there. If you have a vacuum that works really well, by all means use a vacuum. I paid $100 for my vacuum and it doesn't really work that well. This net seems to work just fine. So if you can't afford the $100 vacuum, seems to me like this type of system works pretty well. Alright, I'll show you guys more in the next video. Alright, so once you've used your net to scoop up most of the old food off the bottom, the next thing that you want to do is just take your hand and just run it along the sides of the glass and clean off the sides of the glass, clean off the bottom of the glass. Just kind of scrub around and stir up any food that's left down on there, and your pump will suck up some of that stuff. And then after that, I will show you what we're going to do in the next video. Okay, so after you're done using your net to scoop up the food off the bottom, and you've washed off the glass, the bottoms and the sides with your hand, the next thing that we're going to be doing is just throwing out all that old food that, again, when I first started, I took a little gallon jug, poured some water from the fish tank into this tote so that I could rinse my net off. and this is the food that I've collected from the bottom of the fish tank. I'm going to dump that out, throw that out. So what you're going to do next is basically remove about a quarter of the water from the fish tank and then replace it with dechlorinated water. And I will show that to you more on the next video. This is interesting because with this type of pump, you don't have to take it out manually. It does it automatically, and I'll show that in the next video. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and go over the process of changing out, doing the weekly water change. So this is the Fluval, and it's a great product, and I would definitely suggest getting one of these if you have a fish tank. So the first thing that we do is step one is unplug it. So I'm just gonna try to do that while I show you guys. All right, so we've unplugged the pump, and now the next thing that you do is you close the out. So you just close this. And the next thing that you do is you open the out valve of this hose. So you detach the hose, put the hose into the bucket, and then you open this valve. Oops, try not to spray water in here. So that's how you get rid of a quarter of the water out of here. Okay, so I just went through the process of doing this. You just unplug this, close this, open that, water comes out, and once you've filled up your tote, you can close this and it'll stop that water from coming out. So it's a great way of getting water out of your fish tank. It also is a great way of adding water to your fish tank. Just all around, the Fluval pump is a great add to any fish tank system. So as soon as that gets filled up, I will go ahead and shut this valve off, dump this out, and do another bucket. I'll show you more. Okay, so as you can see, I've already removed that much water from the tank. Still got that much more. Trying to remove about a quarter. So what I've done so far is filled up one 5-gallon tote with water, and it's already gotten it down to that much less water. So I'm going to go ahead and open this back up and let out another 5-gallon tote of water. So this is a 55-gallon tote. We're trying to remove about a quarter of the water, so a couple of these is 10 gallons. So that's about a fifth of the water, but close enough for government work. And then I will be adding some more fresh dechlorinated water back in using the same pump. I'll show you guys that system in a minute. Okay, so I'm just kind of going through the steps of doing a water change out, which is a weekly thing that I do for my fish tank. So far what I've done is unplugged it, turned this valve to the off position, opened up this valve, filled up 2 of these totes, which is 10 gallons, which is about a quarter of the water out of this 55-gallon tank. Now it's time to put the water back in. So the next step for replacing the water is to go ahead and we close that valve, we open this valve back up, and then we go ahead and plug it back in and wait 3 minutes, and I'll show you that process in the next video. Okay, so I've plugged it back in, and basically what it's doing right now, it's doing this 3-minute process. It takes about 3 minutes for the water. It'll spray out of the container here. After it does that, it's basically releasing all of the air out of there, and then it will just start sucking water in and squirting water out, and it'll continue to spray water out. But after about 3 minutes, this will just shut off. After about 2 minutes, this will just shut off, and it'll just let out just nothing but air, and then it'll fill it back up with water, and then once it's full with just water and no air, then it'll start spraying water out. So it's a 3-minute process after you're done dumping your water out that you have to go through in order to start sucking in clean water. So it just stopped. It's going to take a couple of minutes for it to fill back up, and then it'll spray water out. And I'll show you that more on the next video. Okay, so right now what I'm doing is I'm just waiting the 3-minute process of allowing the air to be taken out of the pump. So when you plug the pump back in, it starts by spraying out the water that's in the pump, then it lets out all the air that's in the pump, then it starts sucking in the water from the tank to fill the pump back up. And then what happens is it takes about 3 minutes, and this will start spraying water out of it again, and that means that the cycle is complete. This is all airtight and full of water, and it will continue doing that process of sucking water in through there and spraying water out of there. And that helps to cycle the water and filter the water in the fish tank. So I'm just waiting for it to start spraying out water, and then I will show you more on the next video of how to add new water. Okay, so I waited the 3-minute process. It's completely cycled. It's basically released all of the air that has gotten in from letting the water out. I've taken out a quarter of the water, which is about 10 gallons, or 2 of these 5-gallon totes. Waited the 3-minute process, so now it's just sucking water in through there, putting it into the filter, passing it through the filter, and putting it back into the outlet. And so now what I'm going to do, I have a hose hooked up to my sink so that I don't have to carry these totes, and I'm just going to fill this tote up with some new water, some a little bit of warm, a little bit of cold mixture, so that it's about lukewarm, about room temperature. I'm going to add the dechlorinator to it, wait about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to use the pump to suck that water back into the tank. I'll show you that more in the next video. Okay, so right now I'm just using some tap water. I've mixed a little bit of warm water with a little bit of cold water so that I can fill this 5-gallon tote up with some tap water, and hopefully not have it be too freezing cold for the fishies. I'm going to add some water conditioner to this, and when I add the water conditioner to it, that's to dechlorinate it. I will only be using 2.5 milliliters, which is only that much. A couple little drops in there, and I'll be mixing that up with this water and waiting about 5 minutes, and then I will use the pump to suck it back into the fish tank and fill that water up. So I have two 5-gallon totes so that I can just move this hose over and turn the water off. All right, see you guys in the next episode. Hey everybody, and welcome to Aquaponics World. So this is one of the most important things about adding tap water to your fish tank. You definitely don't want to put chlorine in with your fish, so use a water conditioner that removes the chlorine. Follow the instructions on there. For this one, it's 2.5 milliliters for a 5-gallon tote. This right here is the cap that they give you. It's got measurements on it. That is 2.5 milliliters. So I'm just going to add that into the water, and you can just rinse your cap off while you're doing this. That's fine. And this tap water is room temperature, between 72 and 78. That's how warm I keep it in my house, and then basically that keeps your fish tank at that same temperature. Now you just wait 5 minutes and this water is ready to go back into the tank. Hey everybody, so what I'm doing right now is I'm putting the water back into the fish tank, and so what I'm going to do is I am going to close the in, which is this one. So I'm basically going to stop the water from coming in to the pump from the fish tank. And then I am going to put the hose into the water here. long hose. I'm gonna put this hose into the water and I'm gonna open that up, and that's gonna start sucking water from this tote and putting it back into the fish tank. So it's a real simple way of getting water, clean water, back into your fish tank using this Fluval pump. All right, see you guys in the next episode. Okay, so I have sucked all the water out of this tote through here, through the pump, back into here, and put in 5 gallons of fresh water into the tank. Now I'm just gonna repeat the cycle. I'm gonna fill this up with tap water. I'm gonna add my water conditioner, wait 5 minutes, open up this valve, and it will suck the water from there back into there, thereby filling this back up to the top. And I will show you guys the video of the completed project after the whole weekly cleaning is all finished, and how it looks on the next video. Okay, so again, we're just doing the final step, which is I've filled this 5 gallon tote up. This is the second time I'm filling it up. I'm gonna add 2.5 milliliters of water conditioner to this 5 gallon tote so that I will have no chlorine in my water. So that's too much. And that's a little below 5 milliliters. Just a little less than that. A little too much. But yeah, then we're just gonna add this water to the, we're gonna pour this in here, mix this up, and then we're gonna wait 5 minutes, and then we're gonna add this back into the fish tank, and that'll fill up the fish tank. All right, see you guys on the next episode. Okay, so I'm just working on the very last step. I've already added 1 5 gallon tote of water. I'm adding this second 5 gallon tote of water back in there. And so I filled this up with lukewarm tap water, put the water conditioner in there. Now what I'm doing is I'm gonna take this hose and I am going to put this into this bucket. And then I am going to open this, and that is now going to suck water from here. It's going to bring it through this filter, through this hose, and squirt it in there. So once I've basically I took out 2 totes of water and threw those out, and then I'm putting back 2 totes of clean water back in there. So I want this full at all times. All right, see you guys in the next episode. Hey everybody, and welcome to Aquaponics World. So I thought I was on the last bucket of water here, but as you can see, there's still a little bit more that needs to be filled up. I did take out 2 5 gallon totes of water, which is about a quarter of this 55 gallon tank. You want to take out about a quarter of the water and then replace it with clean water. I did put 2 totes of water back in, but I still need a little bit more. Same thing on this one. I need to add a little bit more back in there. So I'm just gonna do 1 more tote. I've already filled it up with tap water, lukewarm tap water. I'm gonna add my conditioner, and then I'm gonna just top this off, make sure it's nice and at the top. I'm not gonna add the entire 5 gallon tote, just enough to top it off, and I will show that to you in the next video. Hey everybody, and welcome to Aquaponics World. So right now I'm just topping off the water. You can see it's a little bit low. I've put 2 totes back in, taking 2 totes out. So right now I got this full 5 gallon tote of tap water. I'm not going to use the entire tote, but it's just easier to measure how much water conditioner I need to fill up a 5 gallon tote. Put 2.5 milliliters of the water conditioner in there, and then I use what I need to use. So basically I'm just going to put this hose in here And I do what I do to suck the water out, which is to open this valve right here. And that starts sucking the water through here, through this filter, back in there. And now I'm just going to keep an eye on the water level, and as soon as it gets to the top, I'm going to go ahead and close this valve up. So I'm not going to use all of this water that's in here, but some of it. All right, and I'm going to do the same thing with the other tank. I'll show you guys the end results in the next video. Okay, everybody, so I've got the water filled back all the way up to the top here. One thing that I had forgotten to do, one of the times that I had done this, was to remember to turn this back on. So when you fill up the water, you're sucking water from here, so you're closing this off so that it's not sucking water in from the fish tank through this hose anymore. It's now just sucking it in through this hose. So basically I close this off first, and then I open up this this valve down here for this hose. But when I'm all done putting the water back in, I've got to remember to close this off and then open this back up. And what that does is it allows it to suck the water from this hose, from the fish tank, in here, and that way it's coming back out there filtered. And I'll show you guys more in the next video. Okay, so again, I had already filled this one up as well. Just have a little bit left to fill up. I still have some dechlorinated water here that's left after I filled up this one. So I'm just going to take this and manually dump it in there, because this one is not hooked up to one of those type of pumps. This has this little pump here. So if you're using one of those type of pumps as opposed to one of these, you have to do everything manually. So I'm just going to pick this up and dump that in there, and then everything will be all done with the weekly change outs. We've changed out the water here, we've cleaned off all the glass, cleaned all the food out, changed out the water, cleaned the filter, taken the plant out of this tote, put it into a new tote with some of the old fish water for a nitrogen source. It does look like I'm going to need some phosphorus and potassium. I may add some sand or go buy some from a hydroponics store, not sure, we'll see. Alright, I'll talk to you guys soon.